Hey gamers, it's me, Stanley. Today we will be looking at the game, A Plague Tale Requiem. In this video, I will explain the gameplay and overall experience. So let me give you a brief of the game plot. You play as Amicia, older sister to an afflicted and disturbed young boy named Hugo, and must travel through both beautiful and dystopian areas to southern France to look for an island which may provide a cure for Hugo's mysterious blood disease. Hugo is frequently overwhelmed by his newfound powers, while Amicia must face the emotional trauma of killing enemies and other actions done to protect herself and her brother. So let me tell you about the gameplay. Similar to its predecessor, Requiem is an action-adventure game played from a third-person perspective. In the game, the player assumes control of Amicia and must face both soldiers from the French Inquisition and hordes of rats that are spreading the Black Plague. The gameplay is largely similar to the first game, though the combat system is significantly expanded. Amicia is equipped with weapons such as a knife to stab enemies, a sling that can be used to throw rocks, and a crossbow that allows her to easily defeat armored opponents. Crossbow bolts, throwing pots, and rocks can be combined with alchemical mixtures. In addition to Igniter and Extinguish, which allows the player to light and extinguish flame respectively, the game introduces Tar, which increases the radius of the light source, and can be used to ignite enemies. Locations are also larger in Requiem, giving players additional options to progress. Stealth is expanded in Requiem. Unlike Innocence, Amicia would not die after being hit once by enemies. She can also return to stealth after she was discovered by enemies, and counter their attacks if she gets too close to them. Amicia's brother Hugo, who has a connection to the plague, can use an ability named Echo, which reveals the locations of enemies through walls. Hugo can also control the hordes of rats to overwhelm enemies. Similar to the first game, the rats, which are light averse, play a huge role in the game. Amicia and Hugo must stay in the light, or they will be devoured by the rats. Amicia can use the rats to her advantage, manipulating them to solve puzzles, or even lure them to kill enemies. The game also features a progression system in which the player will be awarded additional skills and abilities. Stealth players will unlock skills that allow them to sneak around more efficiently, while those who prefer a more lethal approach will unlock additional combat skills. The player's gear and equipment can also be upgraded at workbenches. When it comes to the overall experience, I will say it's a decent game. I would also recommend playing the first part of this game, which is A Plague Tale Innocence, which will help you to get along with the characters and also the base storyline. Even though Innocence was a tight game, Requiem is way better in experience and its storyline is pretty good. The developers have made some small improvements here and there, which altogether made this sequel a better one. A Plague Tale Requiem story continues to ramp things up where the rats and the mysteries of the terrifying plague are concerned. And that too continues to be a highlight of the story. The story does occasionally lose strength in its implementation. The biggest problem here is a lack of quality, with the game choosing to continually emphasize certain points with overwrought dialogue and clumsy exposition. Stories that show and don't tell are always the most effective. Meanwhile, the AI has seen noticeable gameplay improvements as well, which means enemies are now much smarter and also much more relentless in their efforts to find you if they spot you. A Plague Tale Requiem puts limits on that ability in interesting ways, so not only does it feel very well balanced and not at all overpowered on a gameplay level, but it is also contextualized within the story well. The vast majority of Plague Tale Requiem's gameplay mechanics are straightforward and familiar, but the game constantly keeps coming up with scenarios and gameplay sequences that are designed to encourage players to play around with the toolsets in new and interesting ways. Tale Requiem has some excellent scripted set-piece sequences, from intense chases to massive large-scale scenes that highlight the terrifying scale and destructive power of the rats' forms. That last bit in particular deserves special praise. I don't like to spoil the game for you by talking too much here. So all I have to say is it is one of the best games of the year. So go check it out yourself and enjoy. Hey, you know I upload new videos frequently. Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.